president, and you come on as a cameo saying, if you look real closely, so you can joke around, still have a sense of humor about it all?
Yeah, but you remember I'm the only guy at the end of the film who's right. Everybody in our community, the people, most of the people believe, most of the United States people don't believe that Kennedy was killed by one assassin from the rear. Most people really, with their own eyes, really do believe that he was killed from two sides. That's the essence of the case. But, you know, you'd have me believe that they treat us like the critical community as if we're abolitionists in 1850 or something, you know, because of our passion about the case. We know we're right. We know that slavery has to end, but they still hung a few abolitionists along the way, you know. Finally, they had to fight.
I can't think about your movie without Gary Oldman. Without Gary Oldman playing Lee Harvey Oswald. Can you talk about the level of detail, method, or his...
Gary's very much a method actor. He really wanted to learn Russian. Marina, his wife and the actress, knew Russian. And he wanted not to hang around with the cast at all. I remember that vividly because he wanted to hang by himself. He always saw me correctly as a loner, as a man who was a bit of a misfit, never fit in. I accept that, but he was not a nut. He was a very smart, cool guy. And but Gary really went to the extremes of living alone and getting almost neurotically into the character. Very good actor. So the whole cast was terrific. Great people.
If I can pinpoint a great scene in the film, Dean Andrews, played by the late great John Candy. You chose to go real tight on John Candy. You see the smoke coming out, you see his lips going, and you see the sweat on his upper lip. Can you talk about that day?
Well, Jim knew him very well. He was one of those shady attorneys in New Orleans. There's a dozen of them there, and Jim knew him and characterized him that way. That kind of scene, I think, came from the book. A lot of it came from Jim's second book, On the Trail of the Assassins. Jim was a very fine man. And Kevin Costner, who was a conservative, was very impressed by him, as I was. Just to tell you a little story, because the mainstream media has him out to be a villain, of course. But when we walked down the streets of New Orleans, wherever we went in that whole period of time, people would always come up to him on the street. Always, and say, and with great respect on their eyes, and congratulate him on the job he was doing. Now, he had that kind of feeling from the people in the street.
Just last week, President Obama was in Texas. 50 years later. Do you ever fear for him?
Well, why? What's he done to be killed?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm alone in this, but I just, you know.
Well, except for some, yeah, there is obviously the racist element, the white supremacist apartheid element in American society, but, you know, he is so protected now. They are so protected. They're such in a bubble. You don't have to kill a president. You can just get the bond market to drive him out. Or you can get the New York Times and a few editorials, and you get so much pressure in the networks. It's very hard for a president to really move anything. Even in Kennedy's time, he has to keep everything secret that he's trying to do. He has to write the American University speech in secret. You know, he doesn't want the input from the CIA or the Joint Chiefs.
What's amazing about going back to Untold History is these tapes of John F. Kennedy with the Cuban Missile Crisis. And it's not just his voice that you hear. You see beautiful graphics, layouts, maps, and talk about constructing that because it was phenomenal.
Well, to be honest, we don't have all the quotes, and we used actors we tried to imitate as closely as possible.
That guy sounds just like John F. Kennedy.
Well, there is some Kennedy there, and there's some actor, and we'd go back and forth throughout the series because we don't have some of the behind-the-scene quotes, but they are verified quotes. Everything has double fact-checked. Everything.
Peter said down to every single sentence of the documentary.
But, you know,
well, that's what I heard.
We do have you heard opinion in there too, but I'm saying the facts have been triply checked actually. But television documentary style, you know, you have to be very serious because it's CBS and they're very concerned about getting their ass sued, especially after some of the things we say about, as you know, some of the characters in here. But your question was about. The maps are done digitally. Some of these maps are old maps, but some of them are very new. Because the old maps sometimes don't tell you enough, so we sometimes put new maps in to really help you understand better the geopolitical situation. We also have, I think, music. We put movie clips in. I think you saw one movie clip here. There's a lot of that. to break it up. There's no one-to-one interviews, no talking heads, which I think slows it down. And I think we try to go with a thrust. So every episode is 58 minutes and 30 seconds, and there's a run. It's a big story. We tried to stick. The big thing was sticking to the big picture and not getting stuck in too many details.
And the graphic
archival... The book has the details. I'm sorry. The book follows up with the details.
The graphic archival footage is amazing. We're going to take a couple of questions from the crowd. If anyone would like to, yes. I'm going to come out to you. Okay.
Don't go too long because I think everyone wants to get into the movie.
All right. Jessica. You asserted that Mr. Kennedy was in danger from a number of enemies. You may have created a number of enemies now through that movie and through this television series. Have you been approached or are you threatened?
I can't say I feel that I have. I mean, I don't feel that I'm in danger. I don't think a filmmaker is necessarily in their sights.
And then there is Yahoo, which today had a report on a 3D analysis by father and son, which conclusively shows that a single bullet did make those 7 wounds.
Is there a question? Is there a question?
What would you say of that reanalysis?
Well, like all these reanalyses over the years, we've seen the drawings, the animations, they're ridiculous. But I would only turn this over to Jim Junio to really take you frame by frame through why that can't be so. Or Cyril Wecht, who's a top forensic pathologist and has done amazing work in this field. There's also Gary Aguilar, Bob Groden. These people know what they're talking. Roan. So many people, they're experts, have weighed in on this. But the media has been relentless. They've been relentless. And I see in this 50th anniversary, they have made a concerted effort. I've done a few of them, and I'm sure by the time they come out, I'll be edited down to a marginalized figure. But definitely, you can see the consensus is they're writing about it as if it's a fact that Oswald did it alone.
Wrapping it up now. Joe Pesci as David Ferry. Just a couple words about that.
Joe was great. I love his energy in this movie. He hated me for doing it because he didn't know that David Ferry had homosexual tendencies, he said. But he's a devoted actor, and he did a great job, and I loved working with him. His energy was high, and everybody in this movie, everybody, Kevin Bacon, I love Jack Lemmon, Ed Asner, Donald Sutherland. It's just, and Sissy Spacek. They did a wonderful job.
In closing,
Kevin Costner, who anchors the film.
In 2029, do you have an educated guess of what?
There's no 2029. There's CIA is sitting on 1,100 files, 1,100 documents concerning a lot of people we would like to know about. Jefferson Morley's been on top of that. Mm-hmm. There's documents that come through in Jim can tell you 2017, 2029. I mean, there's documents everywhere. You know, we find out more and more each time. The ARRB revealed a hell of a lot. But again, go to Jim's book. Joan Mellon wrote a book, and I would say, Breach of Trust. Gerald McKnight, excellent. JFK and the Unspeakable by James Douglas. Gaten Fonzie's Investigation. John Newman's Oswald and the CIA. Brothers by David Talbot, Cyril Wecht. I mean, there's so many people. Groden has a new book coming out, Absolute Proof. There's good stuff out there. It's available, and you can get it, but you're not going to hear about it in the mainstream.
All right. Oliver Stone, everyone.
Thank you.